Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. If you are looking to add or upgrade a security system at your home or your office, turn to the local leaders. They provide the local installation, local maintenance. And Safety Systems offers the best contracts of anyone nationwide, anyone in the field. Call VFL JJ Surlis or check them out online, safetysystems.com. They tell you everything they do. And it's not just security systems and life safety systems, it's home entertainment as well. They do it all. Safety Systems, celebrating their 20th year in business. All right. Philip Fulmer was asked by the Knoxville News Sentinel what his expectations are for Jeremy Pruitt in this Pruitt's third year. According to Blake Topmeyer, the general gist was he wants to see improvement. What does he mean by that? Let's go ahead and show you. Hopefully that shows up in the record and the results at the end of the year. We are certainly building depth that we didn't have 2 years ago at all. That gives you a better chance to be successful. The system, is much better in place than it was 2 years ago. And then we move on to the next one. You look at our recruiting class, people are looking at the Tennessee brand much more like they used to look at it. So I think there's a lot of real positive momentum for this team and this staff and for our Tennessee people. Now, you could have made that last part, you could have made that same comment after Butch Jones' second and third recruiting classes. So I don't know that
those comments probably were made.
Yeah, well, yeah. So that was improvement. That we'll see how that lasts. However, in terms of on the field, he's saying we hope it shows up in the record and the results. That's usually how you say how you judge improvement. Now there are different ways to do it, but how hard is that sell going to be? And we'll imagine here that the full season is played. Tennessee gets all 12 games, but they wind up 8-4. Okay, now that's one game better than their regular season record last year, but your 4 losses are to Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma. How hard is the sell going to be that, yes, we improved? Or is that, no, that's perfect, people will buy that?
I think it depends on how it plays out. I mean, if you're struggling to win every game and you're, needing a miracle to beat Kentucky, or you're struggling to get past Vanderbilt, or you got to go overtime against Missouri, and you're struggling in all these games, and you don't really dominate any of these teams that you look at your roster and you're like, we should dominate them, and then you go play those 4 games and you're down 3 touchdowns at halftime in all of them, it's going to be hard to sell this idea of improvement. But if you take those 8 games, you should win. If you're, blowing those teams out 4 or 5 times and you have a couple games that are close and you beat South Carolina on the road and then you're putting a scare into the other teams and maybe you don't win all of them, but you're close in all of them, maybe lose 1 by 17 or whatever, it's a little easier to sell improvement and sell this idea of 2021 Tennessee is going to be a contender for the East and you got to get there. But I think, it's not as simple as, well, 7's a failure, 8's okay, 9's an extension. I think it all depends on how these games play out.
I agree, and if Tennessee does have an 8-4 season, they've lost to the Big Four, they just have to be closer. You can't lose to Florida by 26 to 31 points or 14 points at your stadium. You can't go to Oklahoma and get blown out. All of these games have been 20-plus point differences, right? If that repeats itself, then you're going to have a difficult time selling people. If you're closer, you come up short. Either way, the demand's going to be greater in 2021. But if you are closer against Florida and Georgia and Alabama, if you're competitive in those games and just come up short, then it's easier, I think, in the offseason to sell. Recruiting's improving. We'll have more players in 2021. Then 2021, you better go win.
If you can beat any of those 4 teams, the one you got to get, in my view, is Georgia. End of the year. End of the year erases the front of the year. You saw it here last year. Mm-hmm. Georgia State was cleaned up and swept away by the fact that you went on a 6-game win streak, won your bowl game. I mean, there were people ready to burn the house down at halftime of that bowl game. Mm-hmm. But then come back, get the win, and it's like, wow, look at our winning streak. Win the late ones. Johnny Majors did it for years when the end of the schedule was easy. Philip Fulmer did the same thing. They remember what you do in November. That's true. If you're gonna get one of these teams, I think you're better off losing to Oklahoma and beating Georgia rather than the other way around. I'm not just talking about conference standings. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the fact that at the end of the year, people will be saying, oh, look, we got better as the year went on. We pulled it late. We improved.
Is that beating Georgia to get to 8-4 or 9-3?
If you beat Georgia to get to 8-4, I think you can still point to, well, we had that hiccup against whoever.
Yeah, because there's a chance if it's 8-4 to beat Georgia, you might have lost the week before to Kentucky. That's one of the teams that could jump up against you. You want to get the fans back on your side after losing Kentucky. Go beat Georgia.
One thing that's interesting, and I don't know we got very long to talk about. I'm going to guess you'll agree with me. In a nightmare scenario, let's say it just everything went haywire, and Jeremy Pruitt had a Butch Jones type off the cliff, 4-8. It's Georgia State all over again. You lose to Charlotte, it just explodes. It's not going to happen, but let's say it did. I don't think there's a better year for a coach to have it all go wrong on him, because job security right now, nobody can afford with the money they're losing, and we're about to get into that with the money schools are losing. I don't see a lot of big buyouts being paid this year, even if coaches fall flat on their face.
Yeah, I think you've seen 2 college basketball coaches get fired in the first month and a half or 2 months of that pandemic, and I'd have to check on the numbers now, but yeah, gun shy to say the least.
Yeah. I think job security is pretty good for these guys right now with the big buyouts, and even though Jeremy Pruitt didn't get the extension or the renewed contract we were expecting earlier because of all this, he's still got a pretty hefty buyout out there. I just don't think Tennessee, even if it went crazy off the rails, which I don't think it will, just saying, if you're a head coach, it's a pretty good time for you in terms of job security, I think. All right, when we come back, what kind of cash losses is Tennessee projecting for next year? Are they projecting enough, in our view? And are there other ways they can make some of that money back, new revenue streams? Come on back, we'll discuss.